There was a time, many years ago, I mean I think it's like 2, but you know, leave me alone. People in the comments praying at this very church. Not really, but you know, shut up, it's a story. And they were praying for a multi-floor water elevator tutorial because it looked like an easy thing to build. And then this guy called Aiden, he made one and he deleted it, and it was like a year later after people asked and he told everyone in the comments he'd do it because he didn't think it was good. But he may have worked on a new one, just maybe. There seems to be hope in the distance. Good morrow, fair citizen. It has been a long time. A new building has appeared next to the vault door ones, where redstone do be happening. Let's see what's in sight. We'll sacrifice our beans. Bam. We're in business. Now here's some note blocks. Maybe our answers are on the second floor. There appears to be nothing here except floor. What about the third? There appears to be more floor. Bit funky. What about the fourth? Seems the same. Let's check the second again. And up to the top we go. It's a nicer looking room. Who'd have thought? So, if we look here, there's a load of doors. Then there's some more doors. We're in Lord of the Rings now. Then there's some more doors. Then there's some more doors. It's very doory. We've also got trapdoors and observers, but there's just one line of things for every floor, activated by note blocks, and here's the trick. So I guess we'll go outside the building, it'll be way easier to see. So we'll go to the first floor as well while we're at it. So the floors are 5 blocks high, and that's for a reason. So if we have a tube of water here, and then I just use trapdoors on the front to block off the water but still let you walk in. Then we can add soul sand. And if you don't know, as long as you've got all water sources inside here, then that'll make you go up. And then a magma block will make you go down. It will also hurt you at the bottom, so you do have to be careful with that, I guess. So the trick is using magma block that we push in. So the issue with the other kind of elevators I designed is if I go, say, here, and put a magma block, then that'll pull us down to this floor. But if we then press the button from underneath to activate the same part, then you get blocked off before you get to that floor. So that means you have to do the buttons going to different places on different floors, and it makes the building of it a lot more complicated. I mean, it's still not complicated at all, but it just takes up more space than it needs to. I didn't like that. Also, before I had dispensers moving the water so you could put a magma block in and then put the water source back. Obviously, water will replenish itself if we do this. If I place a block here and then remove it, this water becomes a source again from the two on the outside, like so. So I can just place block, break it, and it'll always fill in and make a new one. We can just put in some water at the sides. So actually, the trick for this to make it just easier is use stairs. So if we do stairs there, and then just block off the sides of them, If you place water in those stairs, it won't come out the back, so you don't need any blocks sticking out the back. But it will fill in this bit, so if I break that, then it fills in as a source, so if I go in here I'll still... Except apparently I've missed one near the bottom, hang on. There we go. So it will still fill in as a source block. So what we do is we use a sticky piston at the side, and that'll push the magma block in, or pull it back. And then the block fills back in so you can go past it. Except I've just realised I've done this in the wrong place. So the reason is, on the design, the floors are 5 apart, so this is where the next floor would be. I guess we're using magma blocks now. But to make you just be able to use the same redstone to activate it, regardless of if you're coming down or up, you go to the middle bit. Sticky piston here, then we'll do our stair routine. So stair here, put blocks at the sides, water it up, and then we just use an observer to make this piston push the magma block out. So our no blocks will activate sets of observers, and they'll push the magma block out. So now if I go from underneath, I'll stop by this magma block and be able to go out. If I come from above, on this floor, then I get pulled down to the floor below, and I can walk out onto the floor, which would be here. And yeah, you wouldn't use magma blocks as your floor, but it's what I've got in my inventory, so you'll have to deal with it. And then we also have a reset button, because that just makes things simpler. The redstone, if you just have one of them, resets everything. And that'll make the pistons pull all their blocks back. The reason we make that works every time, because regardless of whether the block is here or here, if we have a 2-tick repeater coming from the observer, then it will keep the block. So if the block was in like this and our reset button set it off, then it'll do this. And if the block is out, as in we'd just gone to that floor, then it'll do this. And it will still be all good. So there are 2 things. We have the reset button, which will enable you to go all the way to the top. So you do that as the last one. And then the ones that just push it out. And regardless of if you're coming up or down, you'll go to the right floor. And you just get out. Easy peasy. So your entrance would be 1 wide. So like this. You just have a 1 wide entrance. And that goes into just a water stream. So we'll just do glass. Every 6th layer is a floor, because it's the floor, and then you go 5 blocks, and then you do another floor. So every 6 blocks, you do a floor, like so. So that's how high I'll do mine. So on this, we've got the bottom, then this one, then this one. So that's 3, 4, 5 floors. So we'll need 5 buttons. Then we also need to do glass, or just whatever block you're using at the edge. Now, if you're using glass, maybe have silk touch, because we're going to destroy some of these later. So sorry if you did and you don't. So we place our glass in like this, and then we're at the top. So now we also want some blocks at the side, so I'll just use glass again. And this is going to be to have trapdoors on, because they stop the water coming out. So unfortunately you're doing this all the way up, so have fun with that, I guess. What I will say is when you get to a floor, do a block, so you can walk out onto it easily. So I guess I'll place those in first, and then anything else is trapdoors. Like so. And then just before I fill the water in, I'll do the stairs and then the magma blocks. So what we do is, on every floor, you go 3 blocks up in the column, and you do stairs onto the sides. So we'll do that here as well. So here's a floor that you get off on, so 3rd block up, do stairs on 2, but not this one, and nothing at the top. Then you also need a block to both sides of the stairs to stop the water coming out, and we also need ones on this side. And this is just to stop the water flowing outside, so if water flows outside, you know you need to put a block there. And then we just put water in both of those, and fill in the other block, so we need to fill every block with water going up, and also the stairs. Now, a way to test that you've done this all fine is if you put a soul sand in at the bottom, you should go up the entire thing. If you've missed anything, you won't, so that's important. And to check the stairs, you just put blocks in front of the stairs. And if any of those causes you to not go up the entire thing, you missed water on one of the stairs, so you need to check where you stop and put water on both those stairs. So we've got this kind of thing now. So for the magma blocks, we put them where the stairs are, so the third block up after every floor. Like so. Then we go to the side with a sticky piston. So like that, just to the side of the magma block, sticky piston, that'll push it into where the stairs are. So now we'll do our buttons. So I'm just going to do a set in the wall like this. Sorry, I'm calling them buttons. They're actually going to end up being note blocks. So I actually did them the third block up on it, so I'll do that here as well because it just makes the redstone nice at the back. So third block up is the note blocks for selecting what floor you're going to. Then I'll just do blocks around it. Like so. And then your ceiling would just be above it like this for the next floor up. And you do the same on the next floor up. Now, don't worry, you don't have to do your floors 5 blocks high. That just makes it easier for this. As long as it's taller than 5 blocks, you can copy the same design. You'll just have to change some stuff with the observers at the back to make them all good. But on this one, we're doing 5 blocks, so this will be the floor. And we're nearly done, luckily. We've only got a couple more. There we go. So I guess we'll do the floor across as well, so we can actually get to those. So for every one of these buttons, for every floor you go up, you're going to need 3 observers, a trapdoor, door, and blocks. So I want to color code these, I think, which means I'll need to get some different color blocks, so we'll use wool. So we go around the back. So you just want to activate the magma block that corresponds to the floor. Now, the first floor, it's kind of a bit pointless connecting up the first one. You can if you want. So the way I'm doing it is it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 1 being the bottom and going up from there. What we do is if you need to go up to the floor, then you have trapdoors by these observers for a start, and you do observers aiming upwards. Obviously, if you're on the bottom floor, you have to go up to all of them, so it'll just be like this. Then we do a block above, like that, with a door on top, and then we do an observer on top of that. So actually the last one is a bit different because the last one resets all of the pistons, so we'll leave that for now. But you just do observers sticking out. So now we're on the second floor, and on the second floor, you actually go down to get to the first floor. So yeah, we wouldn't have this one going up on the first floor either. Good job, me. You need to go down to get to the second floor. So you have your trapdoors again in front of these observers. But this time, the first floor one is going to be aiming downwards. So again, if we're at the front, we're going first as in bottom, then second, third, fourth, fifth. So if we're on the second floor, we need to go down to the first one. So our observer at the back aims downwards. And then all we do is we swap this observer and block. So we do an observer aiming downwards into a block, and that'll activate the trapdoor here, which will activate the piston and the magma block. So we just do observers coming out the side, going along the back, and then you just need to activate this piston in some way. So the way I'm going to do it is just with a redstone dust on a block, like so. I guess we'll just do a redstone here as well, because then we can add a reset. The reset one, we'll just add an observer here that will activate it. Well, it'll really be an observer and a repeater, but yeah. All it is at the back, you repeat this pattern of the trapdoors and the observers, right? It's really annoying that they don't have arrows on them showing what direction they're going. This one is aiming down, and this one is aiming up. And every floor, you move the observer that's aiming down, you have one going one across. So on the first floor, there's just this one going down, because the second floor will go down to activate it, and so will the next one's up, right? But when you're on the first floor, you need to send a signal up to get to the second floor. But then next time, when we're on the third floor, we go down to the second floor and the first one. So now we'll need 2 observers aiming downwards, and we'll have to actually put our blocks in first because the doors go on top of some observers. So that'll be the first and the second floor here, right? And then above those blocks, we have observers aiming down, and they have doors on them. It doesn't really matter what way they aim, but I'm trying to do them all the same. As you can see, when you hit the note block there, it activates this trapdoor, which will activate that door and go down the entire thing, but it won't activate the one next to it. That's the point of doing all of this. But then the next ones are going to be going up, because from the second floor I have to go up to the third floor. You know, same for the fourth and the fifth. So these are still going up for now. So again, instead of having the blocks there, we have observers aiming upwards, and then we have the blocks and the doors, so the observers activate them, more observers on top of those, and they will activate these trapdoors, which will activate the next set. So because we're at the third floor, we now want an observer coming out the trapdoor. So I just realized I didn't do this for the second floor. So yeah. So on the first floor, we had the trapdoor, the observers went to side and activated the piston, right? So then on the second floor, we go to second trapdoor, we grab that trapdoor with an observer, and then we do observers going to the side into some redstone that will activate the piston, like so. So then third floor, we go to third trapdoor, we do an observer going out to the side to activate redstone, to activate that piston, like that. Okay, so then for the fourth floor, we have our observers coming out, trapdoors, and then we actually need to go down to get to the third, second, and first floor from the fourth floor. So we'll have observers coming down from all of those. And again, we do our blocks there. Our blocks are on top of the trapdoors for the floor below if it's going down, and they're above like that if it's going up. So these ones going up, but now it's these three that are all down. So above these blocks we have observers aiming down. And again, the way to remember is the next floor up, you always have one more observer going downwards to activate the trapdoor. And then the one that's going downwards is the floor you're on, so that's where you need to take the observers from to go to the piston to activate it. And then these ones are still going up to activate the doors that are there, and then we'll destroy these blocks, and then there's doors on top of these observers that activate them, power the block, power the trapdoors, which will either go further down through these doors, or they'll go through this set of observers. Okay, and now the fourth floor trapdoor which we're on. So, well, firstly we need the observers aiming upwards from the doors. And then we go to the fourth trapdoor along, because we're on the fourth floor. And we take observers out the side. And they'll just go into the redstone to activate our piston. Like this. Now for our final floor, we do our observers coming out. And now all of the floors below, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, all of those will be going down. So we do observers going down. Then we do the blocks on top of the trapdoors from the previous one. They have observers aiming downwards above them. And then there's just doors on top of those. And that'll mean that when we activate, say, the first floor, then the trapdoor gets activated, which will activate the door and the observer, which will power the block, trapdoor, observer, door, observer, block, trapdoor, etc. So the whole way down. Then finally it'll get to the piston and set it off. So again, the final floor is a bit different because it's a reset. It will just turn all of the magma blocks off on every single floor with the repeater thing we showed earlier. So just go back in the video if you forgot about that. So I'll just put the magma blocks where they are for now. But doesn't matter, it will reset. So the problem with this is if I make it go down only, then if I activate it from the top, it'll do all of them. But if I activated it from the fourth floor, it wouldn't do the top one if the top one was out. And if I did the only observers going up, and I activated the third one, it would only do the top ones and not do the ones underneath. So I have to make a signal go down and up to make it reset all of them. So the way we do that is we do 2 observers coming out instead of the normal one for the top floor. Like so. Then we do on one side a node block. And then on the other side the node block we do a trapdoor. Like so. Now from the node blocks we'll do our door thing, and that's just because it makes the signal go down as fast as possible. So we're doing observers going down, so we have the observer coming from the node block, going into a door, a downwards observer block, activates the next node block, activates the next observer, etc. And the reason this works is because it'll also activate these trapdoors, which means that we can have observers aiming upwards. So this is wrong. Needs to be observer then block. And that's because activated trapdoors will also activate this one going up, which will power a block and another door. So that'll make the signal go up to the top as well. But because these are trapdoors, it won't activate these node blocks, so it won't create an infinite loop. It will go off a couple of times, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is it will stop at the top, and it'll have set all of them off, because it goes all the way down and up. So again, under every note block, observer, and then on top of the next note block we do a block with a downwards observer above that, with a door. And then for the up, starting at the bottom, there's a trapdoor, so we do observer going into a block with a door, observer aiming upwards, into the trapdoor, which goes into another observer, and a block, and a door, into another observer, which will activate the trapdoor, then the observer above, block, door, observer, trapdoor, observer, block, door, observer, and into the trapdoor. So then we just make the reset come off of the trapdoors. So for every piston we have, so we don't actually need one right at the very top because there's no piston to activate, so we do need it here to make sure it turns off all the pistons, but we just don't need the observers coming out. But the next one below, we do observers coming out of the trapdoor like this, and they need to go into a repeater on 2 ticks, and that'll activate the redstone, which will activate the piston, because that will either push the magma block out and then back in, or it'll just pull it in if it's out. So that's why it resets everything. So next trapdoor, we just do observers, like so. And then we miss one at the end, because we do a 2-tick repeater into a block to activate the redstone. Same for the next one down, where there's a trapdoor. All the observers go into a block with a repeater on 2 ticks, activate the redstone, which will activate the piston. And lastly, the first floor, we'll do all the observers coming out, activating a repeater, which will activate the redstone. So this should be a fully functioning multi-floor elevator now, and it's pretty simple to build. It's just doors, trapdoors, observers. Might be a bit confusing the first time, so you might have to sort of look at the start to see the explainer of how it works before your head's fully wrapped around it. But essentially, you just right-click the floor you want. So if I do 2, then that magma block is pushed out now. So that means if I'm going from the bottom, I'll get pushed up to that. But if I was above, like on the 3rd floor, I'd get pulled down to that, and then I can walk out, and I'd be on the 2nd floor. And then if we press the last one, it will reset everything, regardless of which ones are out. So you can actually set all of them out at the same time. So that's the problem, right? Is they'll all just stay out forever. But then if I press the reset, they'll all get pulled back in. So that's the point of that. And it's pretty small and just easy to repeat. That's the main goal. And it's just simple. So I'll go up to the 4th floor now. Oops. Said I'll go up to the 4th floor. I forgot to reset after I activated the 1st floor. There we go. And we come out. And then if I wanted to go down to the 2nd floor, get pulled down. Whoops, that's too early. There we go. And then I can reset all of them. And that'll mean it's just straight up to the top, like so. Get a lovely view of all our redstone. And then we can go back to the 1st floor by pressing that, and we'll be pulled down. And then we can walk out. And Bob's your auntie. It's all done. I've been Ide and I'll see you in the next one.